Well, I'm about to go to bed, but I need to do a live before I go to bed. We are, what, 11? I don't know, more than halfway through this 30-day live experiment so far. Part of the time it's been fun, part of the time it's been a little, obnoxious knowing that I still need to do a live stream for the day, but so far so good, and it's kept me doing something consistently because I feel like I'm being held accountable, even though not really, no one's gonna, but I am to myself. And it's been interesting regardless. The topic is following your intuition, and what I have to say about that is that some of the best and worst decisions I've ever had have been from following my intuition and from not following my intuition. I feel like my life would have gone in so many different, potentially much better directions had I listened to my subconscious mind, because that's what that is. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. Your intuition is your subconscious mind speaking to you. And what your subconscious mind is it's like your conscious mind is like the tip of the iceberg to your mind, to what all is going on. We cannot keep up on a day-to-day basis with all the stuff that we're able to hold in our minds. Like, it would drive us crazy. Well, I'm sure we'd be able to figure it out, but your subconscious picks up absolutely everything. Everything. Like, I mean, like down to the finest details of things that you and I would just never ever think of. And I'll tell you what, one of the first times I really realized that was when I smoked EMT. I was in this little room. It was like I was at a friend's house. Well, I didn't even know him at all at the time, but he was a DJ, and he had this like his garage part of it was soundproofed off, so he could play music as loud as he wanted in there. No one could hear him. It was a really cool little room in the middle of his garage, or on the corner. But it was really creepy because I had never been there before. I didn't know him, so it's dark. I can't see shit. And then all of a sudden, we walk into this tiny little room. I just knew I trusted the guy that I was with. Like, I would have trusted him like way more than I would have trusted myself at the time with health stuff, and even probably still. And so I knew he wasn't gonna have me walk into something dangerous by any means. So I'm in there and we smoke the stuff and I have no clue what it is. And by the way, I had completely said to myself that I was going to, like, talking to the universe, law of attraction, I was like, I know that there's more out there and I'm going to find it, because I was so bored and miserable with life. I was like, oh my God, is this all there is? Like, what the fuck are we all doing here? Like, really? Is this life? I was so bored, oh my God, with everything. And I think it was back in like 2010. And my dog is walking around, so it's a little distracting and annoying. Okay, so I ended up smoking this stuff, and one of the very first things that I noticed was so weird. Like, the person that was sitting in front of me, the way that I did it, and I think the way that's probably one of the right ways to do it, if not the right way to do it, is someone holds a pipe for you, so you don't have to do it. You don't have to think about anything. And then they light it, the bottom of it on fire, and the smoke, they don't really touch the pipe with the fire though. And then the smoke starts to billow because you don't want to burn the DMT. So the smoke starts to billow, and then you inhale, and it does not take long for this stuff to kick in at all. And the very first thing that I noticed was, like, I'm looking at this guy, like, directly looking at him, like, because he's lighting it right in front of me, and I'm looking at him, and I was like, I had no idea at all what I was in for. No clue. I'd never heard of it before. I just knew I was fucking bored with life, and I was like, if one of the smartest people I've ever met with health will recommend this, and I'm in. So the first thing that I noticed was I'm staring at this guy, and right up in the top left corner of the room to me, it was like all of a sudden it just got drawn to my attention, and I went to look up at it, and it was this tiny, tiny little crack, like maybe an inch long. And I was just like, I can see everything. It was like my senses and my eyes and scope of reality had opened up like it never has before. And then things started to change. So this silver room turned into this like deep red room. The floor dropped out and the walls expanded, and I felt like I was back in ancient Egypt. The guys that I was in the room with turned this deep bronze color, and then I saw these ancient hieroglyphs at the top of the ceiling, like kind of like a border, like at the corner, you know what a border at the top of the ceiling looks like. I saw these ancient like hieroglyphs just dancing. And I was like, what is this stuff? I mean, I felt like if I could understand what those meant, I would have become the smartest person in the world because I felt like it was the universe talking to me. So following your intuition, some of the best decisions. How did I get off into that topic? Uh, Maybe because following my intuition, well, following my intuition is completely what got me into that sphere, I guess, into the whole psychedelic kind of sphere. And I'll tell you what, it's been one of the best choices I've ever made in my entire life. I absolutely love that stuff. I think it's God's gift, you know? It's God's gift. Like, DMT comes from plants, mushrooms are mushrooms from the earth. Oh my God, speaking of, I was watching a documentary called Psyched Out on YouTube. It is excellent. I mean, like, excellent, excellent. And um, he was talking about at one point, he said something about sacred cows. And I had heard that term before, but I never understood it. How could some cultures think that cows are sacred? I mean, I don't eat meat, so I'm not thinking they're just a cow or whatever. I wouldn't think that about any animal or any being. But I gotta wonder, why are they sacred, right? That seems a little extreme, right? Cows. So, or anything, you know, anything. Until this documentary. And he talked about how I don't recall exactly how he phrased it, but I think it was something along the lines of the reason they started getting called sacred is because mushrooms grow out of their shit. And I was like, oh my God, that totally makes sense now. I had never understood that before. But boy, was that like wow, enlightening moment. If you've never done mushrooms, you have no idea what I'm talking about. And honestly, chances are, even if you have done mushrooms, you still don't know what I'm talking about. I took 7 grams in one night and I saw God. I saw universal intelligence. I'm not even joking. It gave me a new hope for life. It gave me this, oh God, feeling of relief, like something actually is there and cares and has got my back, really, is kind of how I felt, which means it's got your back too, because we're the same thing. So, you know, just throwing it out there. I started this video for a particular reason about intuition, and now I'm down a psychedelic rabbit hole. Oh, intuition. Okay. So I started another channel called Enlighten Me 2.0. Now, I don't want you to get the impression that that's a narcissistic title, like I'm the one that can lead you to enlightenment. The name came from I'm trying to reach enlightenment. I'm talking about myself. When I was down in Florida, I read a book called Power versus Force, and it 100%, I mean, it really made me just want to change my entire goal in life to just become enlightened and like forget about everything else. I just wanted to reach enlightenment. And if I didn't have to worry about money, that's all my goal would be. You know, but part of enlightenment, when people reach enlightenment, they have their odds of, they're able to impact way more people. So, you know, I've got my little YouTube channel right now, and when I reach enlightenment, I'll be able to help a lot more people. Like, that's really my goal. Because I know he talks about a consciousness level scale in the book Power versus Force. It's by a guy named Richard Dawkins, who's a fucking genius. Oh, he's dead now, but he was a genius. And I got recommended that book, by the way, by one of the most He studied self-development and read constantly and said it was one of his favorite books ever. Thinks it's one of the best books ever written, which I completely agree. God, it very much shifted me. So he shows a consciousness scale in there, and it's fascinating. It really is. It can show you where people you know, including yourself, are on this consciousness scale. The very bottom of the consciousness scale, I believe, is shame. And then and people can have shame, oh my God, from the most traumatic. I just realized, I hope I'm not covering my speaker over 10 minutes of hopefully some audio. I don't know. People can develop shame from things like being raped, things that happen in their childhood that they don't even remember, like maybe their parents being mean to them or someone saying something to them that they don't even remember, and then they develop this deep sense of shame. Like, these things can come from the most horrible places, and some people never get out of it. So you don't have to, have done something bad to feel shame or whatever, but and then it goes up, I think, to guilt, and then to apathy, and then I have no idea. It goes up pretty high, and then the top one's enlightenment. The one right before that, I believe, is it joy? And then the one before that is peace, and then the one before that is, I think it's the one that's right before that I'm actually at, at least I 100% believe I'm at, because the attributes that he talked about, I have completely. Every time, so he started at the bottom of this enlightenment scale, or consciousness scale, and every single time he went from, and they have numbers to them, like I think shame was like 20, and then enlightenment's like 1,000. So every time he kept going higher, I was like, well, that's definitely, like, there's no way I'm gonna be any further up on the scale. Like, there's just no way. And because, especially after he got to the over 400 mark, because he said that only, like, what was it, like 2% of the population is over that, or something crazy. So I was like, well, I might be there. I could be at that level, right? Because I know I'm not like hardly anybody I know, or anybody, period. And I'm just such a weirdo. I do know I'm a weirdo, and I'm totally cool. I'm happy about that. I don't want to be normal. But then I almost got to I think I was almost at 600. So, and I have gone up this consciousness scale. So I know for sure I can keep going. I just have to get my priorities in order. And that's part of the reason why, that's the reason why I started the channel. And this is where intuition came from, is because, again, I didn't want to start another channel, and I did. So I started it technically in February. I started on Valentine's Day, actually. But I put a few videos on there, but I just hid those videos and then re-uploaded the one that I took back in February, today, or this morning, or maybe last night. I think I did it. I think it actually finished. I started uploading yesterday. I think it finally finished today. So I'm gonna leave a link to that. I'm gonna end up putting half, most likely. I don't really know, but I have a feeling I'm not gonna stop doing stuff with strategic stripping. After this 30-day challenge, I'm not gonna, challenge I have myself for uploading live, I'm not gonna put up random ass videos like this. Like, I'm gonna go back to clear, lessons, I guess. My vlogs might still be the same, but I really want to get back to my old thumbnail videos where I really put a lot into them. So yeah, following your intuition. Your subconscious mind knows literally everything. And when you don't follow your intuition because you get scared or whatever your reason is, you're hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself, and you're hurting everybody around you, because there will only ever be one of you. Ever. Ever. And you're gonna die someday. So if you have something that you really want, like, fucking go do it, And one of the things that I heard that really took me from being an introvert to, I mean, I'm still an introvert, but from being an introvert that was not going to put myself on the internet to, okay, fine, I'll put myself on the internet, was this guy named Derek Sivers. Derek's a genius and a hardcore introvert. And he said, he's so smart and he's so simple at the same time. And one of the things that he said that I just thought was so profound, he says so many things that I think are so profound, but he said, "You're not doing anyone any favors by hiding. You're not helping the world in any way by hiding." And at the time, I cannot tell you how much time and energy I spend avoiding people. I avoid people like the plague. I really do. I don't do it. I mean, I do it on purpose, yeah, but it's for lots of reasons. One is because I'm just very, very, very highly sensitive, and I used to feel bad about that too until I listened to a guy named Alex Sharfin talking, and Alex is also a genius when it comes to like everything. And Alex was labeled ADD, Asperger's, autistic, all kinds of stuff. That's so horrible to say to a kid. It's so fucking horrible to say something like that to any kid. I don't care what you think about them. To label somebody as anything, especially as a child, is fucked up. I'm gonna go on another sidetrack here. I've already said my lesson. You guys can do what you want if you want to keep listening or what. But I was gone to a car wreck in San Diego. Couldn't barely move. My phone was broken. I couldn't call anyone. I didn't know anyone's address. No one in the world had known I had been in the hospital overnight. I went to go pick up my car because I thought it was drivable, and it wasn't. And I couldn't get my phone or my charger or anything to work. So I was like, fuck, I couldn't drive anywhere. I couldn't call anybody. And this random kid stumbled into this like junkyard lot that I was at, and he walked in with a girl. He had very, very obviously clearly had just helped her out with her car. I don't know what had happened to it, but it was very clear that he had just helped her out and they were just friends. And they walked out, and I'm sitting in the corner like trying to get my charger to to charge my phone. I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do? I wasn't thinking straight because I just been in a car wreck. I woke up in the hospital. Didn't even know what had happened. It was just crazy. And I was just like, I need his help. So I walked outside and I was like, hey, could you help me? And he said, yeah, he said he had to go to work or whatever, but he took me to Walmart, I think, and so I could get a charger. And he was like, if you are still having problems, he's like, I have to go to work, but I'm only going to be there for a few hours. He was like, if you still need help, he was like, I can come help you. And I said, yes. They didn't have my charger at Walmart. So I ended up sitting there, and maybe they did, because there had to have been a way I got back in touch with them. I don't know. This was like a long time ago. Anyway, I ended up staying with him again. Oh no, they did have my charger, and my friend wasn't answering. So, and I didn't want to call anybody else that I knew there about that. So, he came back and picked me up, and I was not in shape to get on a plane and go home. I was wearing a back brace. I was like, I can't sit on a plane for like 10 hours or whatever it was. Like, that would not work well for me right now. So I ended up staying with him, and he was staying with a friend of his family. And he warned me before we went over there. He was like, listen, he was like, you're more than welcome to stay with me while for a couple days or whatever. He's like, but I want to warn you that one of the kids in the house is a little bit weird. And I was like, I don't, like, what does that even mean? And he goes, well, he's got Asperger's. And I was like, I have no idea what that is. And he was like, well, it's when you're like, like really socially awkward. And I was like, I'm not going to have a problem with that. Trust me. So we go to the house and walk inside, and then there's, get to meet the family and everything. And there's this kid that's like as tall as me. I think he was like 16 or something, 14, 15, 16, I don't know. Nothing looked like it was wrong with him at all. And we're talking, and we come to the end of the conversation. Like, I would have done the exact same thing. The exact same thing. We come to the end of the conversation, and he was at the door of his room, and he just closes the door. And I didn't think anything of it at all. And me and this guy go outside, and he was like, yeah, he was like, so you see what I mean? And I was like, about what? And he was like, you know, so and so. And I was like, what about him? I was like, that nothing, none of that seemed strange to me at all. And he goes, yeah, you know, but you know how he kind of like closed the door? And I was like, the conversation was over. Like, why wouldn't you have closed the door? Like, what's he gonna do? Say bye? You know? I would have just closed the door too. So maybe I got Asperger's also. I don't know. Nor do I care, because all these labels are just fucking bullshit. So other than things like maybe autism, like being autistic, but again, I don't know. I don't know. I think that being autistic has something to do with your gut. I think if you are autistic, you have lots of toxins and chemicals in your gut that you can get rid of. And I say this because I know a lady that does that. She can cure autism in children. So her name's Donna Gates, by the way. If you want to look into her, she can cure autism in children. She says she sees the glaze go away from their eyes after she feeds them enough like probiotics and fermented food and stuff like that. Anyway, I went on a walk with that kid. I asked if he wanted to go on a walk with me, and his dad, you know, looked all like, oh no, you know, like, no, he can't do that. And I was like, we're just going on a walk. I was like, it's not like we're not gonna go far. I was like, we'll just go like around the block or something. I was like, it's beautiful outside. The sunshine's good for you. I was like, it's just a walk. I was like, we'll be okay, I promise. And he was like, oh, okay. And so we start walking, and this kid says something to me about his problem, about being autistic. And we had just been having like a 5-10 minute conversation. And I was like, listen, there is nothing wrong with you. Just because you might be a little bit different than other people is not a bad thing. I was like, I probably said something along the lines of most people suck anyway. I probably didn't say it quite like that, but probably something to that effect. Kind of just like, don't worry about other people's opinions of you. Because I knew that if someone didn't tell him that label was gonna fuck with him for his whole life until he did something about it, if he ever did something about it. Chances are he would never. Most people that get labeled that kind of stuff, or that, you know, oh God, I don't know, I'm just so upset with the system. And this is why I started a second channel, is because I have so much stuff I want to talk about that's super not stripping related. So yeah, so I'll leave a link to it. And before I go, I'm going to admit that I cheated on this live stream. It is live, but it's unlisted. So, hey, I never said I was gonna make it live public at the time, but I just wanted to talk and not get distracted. So I think this one a lot better. I mean, my dog's distracting me, but besides that, so. Anyway, that's all I'm going to say for now. I hope you have a fantastic night, and I will leave a link to my new channel. If you would like to subscribe to it, I would really appreciate that, because after I get 100 subscribers, I can name it. So I would appreciate it if you would subscribe, even if you're not interested in all the crazy shit I talk about on there, until I can, if you care about the stuff I put out, the content I put out here, then do me a favor, just subscribe to it, and you can just unsubscribe later or whatever. But I just need to be able to name the channel. I need 100 subs to do that. So I love you girls, and the random guys that are showing up. I've had 25% men watching my channel lately. Boy, did I not see that coming. I'm still always going to gear this channel towards women, though. It's called Strategic Stripping. So Anyway, oh, but speaking of that, I will say, actually, I think I'm gonna start to sell my clothes to gentlemen that are interested because I have a lot of stuff that I need to get rid of. So if you're interested in buying clothes from me, please let me know, seriously. And I'm not trying to sell anything for cheap, okay? So I'm not trying to sell anything for cheap. Don't throw me lowball offers because I'm not gonna waste my time shipping something and whatever for not much money. So, but if you're interested, you should do it because it'll be worth it. Okay, I'm gonna go. Have a great night. Ciao. Well, that's weird lighting to end on.